All right. So I found out that if I share the entire screen, the entire presentation screen, that's when the presentation kind of cuts out, and that's the issues that we were having earlier. So we'll just do it this way, a little bit smaller, but just bear with us. Um, so today we're really going to talk about property management and different commercial customers like restaurants, venues, anything like that. These guys are really important. I mean, that's a big part of our business, and we can make just a lot of money from them and have a lot of recurring customers, which, that just gives us full long-term goals or solutions to our goals, right? So the four main types of property management, that's the residential, commercial, industrial, and special purpose, right? So residential is a little more tough to identify because that's the people who own single family residences that are being rented out as homes. That's also like Airbnbs, VRBOs, vacation properties. The multifamily, that's a lot easier, right? Those are the duplexes, the quads, those big kind of apartment buildings that aren't so much part of a major corporation. Usually those are just owned by one or two people. Townhouses, condos, apartments, those are obviously going to be the easiest to find. Commercial, right? We're talking about malls and restaurants, gas stations, office blocks like the doctor's offices, urgent cares, real estate brokerage, different properties, and then like the co-working spaces, which are relatively new. Industrial, that's going to be very easy to identify, but very hard to break into, right? Those are those heavy manufacturing plants. That's, oil plants and electricity plants and all these big manufacturers. Obviously we can just go right up to the gate, ask to see if we can't talk to a manager, building manager, something like that. Those are really hard to break into, but if you can get into them, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of work. And then special purpose. I really enjoy these ones because these are ones that you don't really think about when you think about our typical customers, right? That's sports arenas, venues, schools, universities, churches, theaters, anything like that. If you can break into all four of these different types of property management accounts, you're going to be very, very successful. But the most important thing is you got to learn who to talk to, right? So that's the decision makers. So we have for residential, we have the landlords, right? And don't let one bad landlord skew you away from doing property management. There's a ton of really good people in this industry, and obviously in every industry there's going to be some bad ones, right? Don't let one bad landlord, slumlord, whatever you want to call them, don't let that skew you away from doing property management in general, right? And then when you get into the commercial property, you're looking at building supervisors, property managers, industrial, you're looking at the maintenance supervisor, right? They run the maintenance for the entire plant. So that's going to be kind of who you're going to want to seek out. And then, kind of similar for the special purpose, you're looking for the general manager, the building manager, maintenance manager, anything like that. It's all going to be different just based on the size, right? So the biggest thing to really learn or to understand is vendor lists, right? So many property management firms, they only work with pre-approved vendors, which means we have to get pre-approved. So being on the pre-approval list means that our company, your company becomes the go-to person for any wildlife job, any pest control jobs. This gets you faster access to jobs that are at the sites you're looking for, but also to the sister companies, right? So a lot of these companies use big third party vendor management softwares, and they all kind of go back and forth and translate between one property to another, right? So if you're already pre-approved at property A, if their sister property B and C, when you go there you'll say, hey, I'm already approved at property A. That already gets you in the door. You don't have to do any more of the paperwork, which we'll cover later, but that gets you faster access to the jobs, right? It gets you trusted status with the decision makers. And then that just leads to an easier path for recurring contracts, right? And then how to get on the vendor list, we'll talk about the specifics a little bit later, but to become that go-to, it's no different than when we're servicing our customers in single family homes, right? High quality service, building relationships. We're going to network within the neighborhoods, but for this case, it's the real estate and the property management companies, right? So this is going to boost our chances of inclusion. So the introduction, right? This is how you get into those vendor lists. This is how you get chosen to be their go-to person. And so what I would do when I was running my team is I would try and find five, six, seven different properties in a day that I could just go out. I would make flyers. I have critter control binders or folders that I would put all of these things in. I would have this flyer, which is one. This is one we just made for critter control of Beaumont, Andrew out there, and so we made this. This is perfect to put. This is that front page, right? This is something you're gonna want on kind of cardstock or laminated, something that's a little heavier, so that they're not gonna want to just throw it away, right? I found that if I spend the extra money to laminate it and put on nice, material, when the I'd go back in a month later or 2 months later to check in on them, I'd see that hanging up on a bulletin board, right? So you're gonna want to have that flyer. You're gonna have business cards. I'd even go on and print off references and reviews that other property management or even just customers left us about our team, right? Most recent ones, you're going to want to have your copy of insurance, your W 9, and then a print off of the wording on the service agreement, okay? And then you're going to try and get in touch with the maintenance supervisor or whoever you're talking to, right? The decision maker, and then ask them, ask, do you work with an approved vendor list? And then how can I get on it? What are the steps to get approved? And then how many properties do they manage? Do they have any sister properties? These are the right questions that's going to get you onto that pre-approval list, because you can't do any work with them without doing that approved vendors list. So why this market matters? Why are we even putting in the effort? We do pretty well with the single family homes, but why put in the extra effort and go into property management? Well, the answer is money, right? It's steady recurring revenue. The commercial restaurants, or the commercial units and restaurants, they have high stakes and high urgency, which means high payouts, right? So building strong partners throughout the industry, it just leads to long-term business growth. So yeah, the answer is money. The four biggest jobs that I did in my 3 years when I was running my district, all four of them came from property management. And I had two of them that were 30,000. I had one that was just over 50, and then one that was $82,000. And it took work, it took effort, it took a lot of time to build those relationships. I think the one that was $80,000, I think we trapped for them for a year and a half, just every single month, going out there to trap. And every time we'd go out, we say, hey, look, we can do this exclusion, we can do this exclusion, giving them, so I think we probably gave them 15, 20 different proposals for it. And then they finally had it in their budget at the end of one year to put it in for the quarter three of the following year. So we had, 9 months before we could start the work. And we made it work, and we held a relationship with them, and they paid out 90 days later. So this market matters. There's just so much opportunity for us to grow our business and hit our goals, that if you're not putting in the effort to go out to these big property management accounts, you'll see a change in your numbers once you start putting in that effort and growing relationships. So you have to understand their priorities, right? And tailor your pitch to their priorities. Their biggest priority is safety and comfort for their tenants, right? The One of the biggest things that we found is they would only call us once there was a certain amount of customer or tenants complaining, right? And so there is a level that they're okay with having population on that property, but once it's over that threshold and the complaints start rolling in, that's when they call us. So, another thing is their budget might only call for $500 a month, $250 a month. So that's why it's important to, just do that trapping month after month after month, and then always talk to them about the bigger picture, right? Our ultimate goal is a long-term full solution, right? So in order to do that, we might have to trap for a year or 2 years or whatever it is until they can find the budget, the money within their budget. So another thing is fast and discreet and hassle-free service. They want when they call us, they want us to come out, do the job, get it done, and just send them a bill, right? Clear communication, documentation. They need to have every single thing documented, pictures, videos, service agreements, everything needs to be documented and organized. And then for us, we need to emphasize long-term protection and tenant satisfaction. For restaurants, right? Their big focus is on that health code compliance and emergency response. They can't, if there's something, say there, a raccoon or something on the premises, they have to get that taken care of today, like ASAP, which is why, we need to be able to have that clear communication with them and have a clear line of communication so they can get in touch with us. And then commercial sites, we need to talk about prevention and brand protection, and then that seamless service. There it is again. And then, of course, there's going to be objections, especially when you're first getting started, right? Before you have that relationship, there's always going to be objections. It's no different than when we're working with single family homes, right? So when they say, "Oh, we already have someone who does that. We have a maintenance guy. We have, a bug guy that comes out." Well, we say, well, what do you like about them? Is there any gaps in their service? Is there anything that they don't handle that we do? Right? So, what do you like about them? I always like to start with that because we're not in this industry to put people down, right? Tell me about your maintenance guy. What kind of work does he do? Is he up and down on the ladders? Is he comfortable with ladders? Is he comfortable working on the roof, right? These are all things that we do, and that's kind of pointing out the gaps in the service in a better way rather than saying, "Hey, your maintenance guy didn't know what he's doing." That's not, very professional. Makes us look bad. We're not in this to tear people down. We're in this to find where we can fit in and where we can provide a service. When they say it's too expensive, we talk about the cost of the damages. That's no different than when there's chewed wires up in the attic or anything like that. We're going to take pictures and prove that they have a problem, right? So that we can present them with a solution and show them what it looks like. And we can talk about the lost business, but you don't want to ever use scare tactics. Like I said, that's not why we're in the industry. We're in the industry to act ethically and provide our customers with a good long-term full solution. And then when they say it's not a priority now, that's okay, not a problem. We do those free inspections. We're gonna uncover the hidden risk. We're gonna find the evidence of the issues if they have anything up in the attic or crawl spaces or wherever, on the roof lines, wherever we're finding the work. We can just do a free inspection. Hey, while I'm out here, I wanted to give you this binder. It has all my information. It has all the stuff that we need to become a vendor. And while I'm out here, I have an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever to do a little inspection for you. It's not going to cost you anything. If I find anything, I'll take pictures of it. I'll show you the evidence of it so that we can talk about, a future plan to get this set up. I know it's not a priority right now, but in the future, you might want to get this taken, take a look at. Or you get up there and you find that there's no wildlife damage at all. There's all the vent covers are covered. All the attic is spotless. And you tell them, hey, you're in great hands, and maybe talk about preventative maintenance, right? Doing this, it's going to build that trust and the credibility. Be reliable, be responsive from day one. Document everything, right? So we need to send them our findings, reports, photos, follow-ups, and then set expectations and follow through, right? That's no different than selling to single family homes. And then the last thing, educate rather than upsell. Use our knowledge, use our expertise to really dial in and show them the biology behind it and show them why we are the experts. Their maintenance guy might be great. Sure, he might handle it all, but maybe he doesn't understand the protected species and just going up there and removing nests, and we don't want them to get in trouble, right? So if we can be someone that they call and look for, to answer questions, that's going to lead us to future business. Maybe it's not with them. Maybe it's with a sister company, right? Or a sister apartment complex. So working with restaurants, I come from a restaurant background, um, and we would always get hounded on our cleanliness and our compliance with the rules, right? So the the restaurants in general are sensitive to their reputation, right? Any sort of pest, bugs, cockroaches, wildlife, rodents, that's just lost business. And God forbid someone takes a picture and puts it on Google review. You could lose a business. You could shut down your restaurant because of that, which is why it's important for us to have a good relationship with these restaurants so that we can get there, act fast. In that the inspections, I mean, they can happen anytime. It can be before they open, after they close. It can be, hey, I need someone here right now. And you're charging a kind of an upcharge because it's such an emergency, right? We need to be discreet and responsive and have professional service. I've had restaurants say, hey, when your guys come here, can they park next door and throw a jacket on so it doesn't say critter control? I got something in the alley behind, but it's starting to chew its way in or whatever. And so yeah, absolutely we can do that. I don't want to walk in to a crowded restaurant with critter control stuff on and have all my equipment. I'd rather treat the restaurant with respect, and be discreet. They have to be spotless for the health department, right? So we have to make sure to take pictures and videos of everything we see, the cleanup after it, and then show the restaurant where they need to focus on their disinfectant, right? We need to position critter control as being their first call. Fast response, no disruptions to the guest, complete documentation for compliance. And then this is where we can turn this into a recurring revenue source where we offer those routine monthly or bi-weekly checks so that we can prevent emergencies. This is when we can sell the full home, exclusion in quotes, right? The full home, the full restaurant exclusion. So next we're going to focus on where to find these customers, right? And the very obvious answer is Google apartment complexes near me, right? So only 25 or so show up, and then you move the map to a different part of your territory and then press refresh, and then another 25, and then another 25, right? So every single apartment complex in your territory should have your information, every single one, right? Pick a day, maybe on Saturday mornings or Friday mornings or whatever. Pick a day to go see 5 or 10 of them. Bring those files, those folders with all the information, and ask about, hey, I'd love to become a vendor for you guys. If you ever have any wildlife issues, this is kind of what we specialize in, and this is how we can help you. So that's the clear and obvious one. Apartment complexes near me, right? But then we can go into breweries with outdoor seating. So breweries are going to be, huge right now. We're coming into the spring, early summer, so they're going to have issues with um, mosquitoes. They're going to have issues with bugs. They're going to have issues with rodents. They're going to have issues with possums and raccoons, because there's outdoor food, there's outdoor seating. People are leaving trash around, and maybe when they're cleaning up, they forget stuff under the table or whatever, right? So breweries with outdoor seating. In that same kind of thought, we can go to dog friendly restaurants. All right, dog friendly restaurants means they have outdoor seating. So think about that. And then when you're out there and you're spraying for bugs or you're trapping or doing whatever, we can put signs out there that say, this courtyard is kept wildlife free or kept insect free by critter control. So I talk to them about putting a sign up. It doesn't have to be a huge sign. Maybe it's just a little plaque or something, right? But this is all something you can just sit there and Google, and there's 25 potential customers right there. And then you have another 25 with your breweries with outdoor seating. I tell a story all the time about I was sitting at Kova Brewery and in early June last year, and about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, the mosquitoes came out and the entire outdoor seating was gone. Everyone left because we were getting chewed up by mosquitoes. So I went inside, I talked to the manager. I said, "Hey, I'm with my family right now, but on Monday I'd love to meet you here and talk about the mosquito problem you have, and I'll see if I can't get you help. I run a wildlife and pest control company." And they said, "Absolutely," and we still service those guys every single week during mosquito season, right? And that's I think we did $289 every single week. And we have a good standing relationship with them. Every time I go there, I see them. They're super welcoming, and there's tables full outside because we put I think 8 into care units and we spray for mosquitoes. So these are things that you can do that will help you. And then, we have baseball parks near me. Think about the summer. I mean, I'm sure a bunch of you have kids who play baseball. You're sitting out there in the sun. You got termites, you got mosquitoes, you got all sorts of stuff chewing and biting on you. You got wasps. And then at the snack stand, there's going to be rodents. Anywhere there's food and trash, there's going to be rats, there's going to be mice, possums, whatever. That's going to be an issue. So Google baseball park near me and just go talk to the maintenance guy and talk about what we do for a living and how it can help them and cut down on the number of complaints or the number of people sitting in their cars not going up and buying candy or Gatorades or whatever you're buying, right? So talk about how we could gain them the more foot traffic. And then here's one a lot of people don't think about, right? Marinas near me. If you grow up near the water or you have a boat or whatever, every single time you go out to your boat, there's going to be wasps, there's going to be bugs, there's going to be some sort of structure that is going to have, whether it's raccoons or wasps. These are awesome ways that we can just grow our recurring revenue. I went out to the marina down by my house. They gave us a call and they said, "Hey, we have raccoons in our big giant storage." We said, "All right." So we went out there and it's a dry boat motel, right? So they keep the boats out of the water and they use this giant forklift and pick them up and put them in the water, and that's kind of how people store their boats. Well, they had raccoons in there because people were leaving bait on their boat if they were going out the next day, and the raccoons were attracted to that, right? So what we did was we sealed this entire building, and we did some raccoon trapping for them. And that is one that they called us. But if we would have proactive and we went out to them before and had a relationship with them, that's a $20,000 job that we won, and we would have been able to steal that from the other company that they called, right? So doing work at marinas, just go out there and talk to some people and see who's running it, who's managing it, and see about talking to them and bring them that folder, right, to see about getting on their approved vendor list. And then lastly, I wanted to end on this because this is a big reason that people don't like to work with property management. So you have net 30, 60, and 90 payment terms. Some of them go up to 120, some of them go even higher than that. So what this means is after we finish the work, if they're net 30, after we finish the work, they don't have to pay us for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days or 120 days, whatever it is. So we finish and we get paid months later. So this can create cash flow challenges, right? So if we're doing a $30,000 job and we're excited to get that payment and we have to wait until next quarter or next year, depending on the terms, that can be an issue, right? So the reason they do this is because their accounting departments pay in batches, right? So they say, "Oh yeah, we cut checks every Wednesday, after 30 days." And then, so what we do is we might need to pay out the labor and the material before seeing a dime of it. So there's a couple of ways that we can overcome the payment issue, and the biggest one is getting pre-approved before we start the work so that we're not on a net 30 and we say, "Hey, 30 days later, we say, "Hey, it's been 30 days," and they say, "Oh, well, you're not approved yet. Like, you have to get approved," and then the 30 days will start over again, right? So now you're thinking the paycheck's coming in because you finished the job a month ago. Well, in reality, it's not going to come for another month and a week to get, because now you have to spend a week to get approved and then another 30 days after that, right? So making sure that we're pre-approved before we start the work, after they sign the service agreement, or that's going to be such a key step on making sure that we get the money as soon as possible. And then ask them, set those expectations up front. Ask them, hey, do you operate on a net 30 or something different, so that you can plan. If it's a 60, a 90, or a 120, you can plan that out. And then, give them a discount. If there's a net 10 or a net 15, say, hey, instead of 30, we can knock off $1,000 of this, or whatever the percentage is, if we can do a net 15. And I would really appreciate if you bring it up to your boss, and we can save you guys some money. We can get paid faster. You know, you guys make that decision. And if you're comfortable with offering a discount for a faster payment, absolutely jump into that. And then, build it into pricing. If you know that it's going to be 120 days before you're getting this paycheck, go ahead and add money onto it. If they're okay, it is, net 60, and they say, we'll pay you out the recurring every 60 days, or 60 days after. Well, if you're doing a recurring service after those first 2 months, every single month you're getting a paycheck from them, right? So that's going to help you, the payments be more predictable. And then just establish a good relationship with the office staff. The ladies who are working up in the front desk, or whoever's working in the front desk, they're not the ones writing you the check. It's their parent company's accounting department. So establish a good relationship with the people that you see, every time you go there, so that they can be on your side when it comes to getting you guys paid. Don't let a negative interaction with a property management company just turn you away from the entire industry as a whole, right? And I've done it before. I've seen it before in my 3 years of doing my district. I had one quote unquote slumlord who, yeah, absolutely, I was tired of dealing with him, and dealing with people like him. But then I found out that there's really not that many people like him, and that most of the people in this industry are good quality people, and understand the service we provide, and why it's a necessity. And you can grow a good relationship with them and really be successful. I was talking to Joe about this, and he said over the 20 plus years, it's been millions of dollars that he's gotten from these property management companies. And he has good relationships with them back in the day, and we're still that go-to company for him, even though it's a corporate location now. Or so these relationships, they last years and years and decades. So if we can really dial into this industry, put the effort in, and grow relationships, and become that go-to service provider for these companies, you're going to see long-term growth year after year after year. So thank you so much. Sorry about the technical difficulties, and everything, but tomorrow we're going to host a Q&A, or I'm going to host a Q&A. If you have questions, please jump on that. It's going to be at 4:30, or 4 to 4:30 Eastern time. Please, if you have any questions, if I don't have the answer, I will get the answer for you. If it's just something you want to have a conversation about, I'm here for you. So thank you so much, and I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.